come from lots of different places, lots of different backgrounds, and lots of different beliefs. So hopefully just before this you've had a chance to discuss with your group about who God is, what your different views of God might be like. And hopefully you've had a chance to look at Genesis chapter 1, the very beginning of the Bible story, and have a little read through that, because that's what we're going to be looking at for a few minutes now. So when it comes to this chapter, this part of the Bible, when we've read it, we can see maybe that it reads quite a lot like poetry. So Christians might agree or disagree on whether the first bit of Genesis is history or historical, or whether it's poetry. We're not really going to spend lots of time discussing that. Maybe you'll want to talk about that later. But we're really going to think about the big things that this chapter is trying to tell us about what Christians believe about God and who he is. And the first thing we notice when you're reading through is that it says God spoke an amazing creation. Now, I wonder if you've ever heard a beautiful singer, or you've ever heard a very powerful speech maker. And when you listen, it's not just that you hear those words, but you can also feel those words. Those words have power. They have power to move you to tears with a beautiful piece of singing, or sort of get excitement as you hear a powerful speaker. And sometimes, it has that power to build up, but it also has that power to break down. Just a few unkind words from a friend can ruin your whole day. Someone's, words that we've spoken might have ruined a friendship. Someone's voice carries extraordinary power. We know that, we may have experienced that. But what about God's voice? Well, I don't know if you noticed, but in the chapter we've just read, it talks a lot about God speaking. At the beginning it says God said. But what are some of the things that we learn about God's voice? He speaks quite a lot in this chapter. Well, the first thing we learn is that it's saying that God's voice has extraordinary power, not just to move people's emotions, but to create things, to create stuff from nothing. We learn that his voice brings good. So if you look through the story, from the third day onwards, when it says God made this stuff, it says that what he did was good. Everything he spoke was good. And when he looks at everything at the end, he says it's very good. God speaks stuff into existence and it's good. We also notice that it brings order. It's not just a crazy mess of things going on, but there seems to be places for things to go. There's the sky for the birds, there's the sea for the fish, there's the land for the animals, there's the space for planets and stars. It's ordered. Stuff has its place. And also, his voice brings life. So it wasn't that he just crafted the world as it is with the mountains and the rivers and the streams, but actually it's filled. He's not like a painter who can create amazing, beautiful masterpieces. No, but his life brings things into existence. It breathes life into stuff. So when we're looking at that first bit of the Bible story, what we notice is that there's a God who speaks good things into existence, and they're wanting to say that this Christian God is a God who speaks life into being. Speaks good things into existence and speaks life into being. Now that's quite an amazing God that the Bible is trying to display. He's not a God where creation has happened by accident, maybe as the result of like a byproduct of good and evil fighting. No, his creation is purposeful, it's planned. And if this is true, what the Bible is trying to tell us about God here, then that's quite an amazing God to follow, is what Christians would say. He's given life, he's given amazing creation. And I guess that's, as a side point, this is also why Christians will take this book, the Bible, seriously, because if God's words can bring life and a good life, Christians would also say that this Bible is God's words. So this Bible can also bring life and good life. Now the main thing that we see in that chapter is about God. So the second thing we notice in this passage, I wonder if you noticed as you were looking through the story, is that the writer is saying humanity has a special place within the world, within this creation. Now my wife Jemima she's got a few dresses, and as far as I'm concerned, they all seem to do a similar type of job. So she might have some smarter ones that she will wear for special occasions, maybe a wedding or a close friend's birthday party where everyone has to dress up. And she'll have some less smart ones that she might wear during the summer when she's going to work or she's hanging out with friends. But there's one dress that she owns that is set apart. It's separate, it's different from the others. And that's a dress that she wore in 2014 in the summer on the 16th of August when we got married. Her wedding dress. It's a dress that has a very specific role. In many ways it's similar to other dresses, but it's different. It's been set apart, it's important. Now, when we were looking through this story about the way that God has made the world, I wonder if you noticed, but humans were sort of set apart. Men and women were created in a different place. He's made lots of things, and then God says, let's make humans. Let's make them in our image, it says, in the image of God. There's something special about humans. Like this wedding dress, they've been given something special by God. They're told to be in the image of God. So that means they're slightly different to the rest of the animals and other things that were made. They have a special place. Now, what does that mean, we think? What does it mean for humans to have a special place? Well, one of the things we notice is that they are made to rule. So humans are told they are the ones who are in charge over all that God has made. But not in charge to ruin it, or not in charge to just do what they like, but in charge to make the world fruitful, to grow, to rule it, to subdue it. More like shepherds looking after sheep, or like gardeners looking after a beautiful garden. Humans are given a special position. They are below God, but they're above the rest of creation. They're given a special position. Now that means, when we think about it, that means that Christians would say we're given this job to look after creation, but it also means we're not really like the rest of the animals. So we live under God and over the rest of creation. It means we don't worship animals. That's what Christians would believe. We can't worship animals. Now, this account has lots in it, and maybe you've got lots of questions. And so now's a bit of time to spend some time talking about these things, having discussion. Feel free to disagree, feel free to agree. It's a chance for you to discuss those things. To think about God saying that he has this life-giving word that brings life, and he's given humans an amazing creation. But you also might be thinking, hang on a second, this doesn't always make sense. What's written here in chapter 1 about the world doesn't necessarily make sense of my experience of the world. Here it seems to be all good, but we know that there's bad things that happen in life. And that's something we're going to be looking at next week. We're saying now that there is a good creation, but next week we're going to say, hey, but something has gone wrong. But over to you guys for discussion. Thanks.